He has Liam Hasemans right behind him, just 1 point back on the overall standings, and it's very much the same in the junior trophy as well. And Fabrizio Armetta, a fairly commanding lead over the Challenger Trophy points. He's been securing overall top 10s at points this year, has been very impressive. And we'll see how he does from 11th on the grid today in the number 55 car. We'll have 25 cars taking the start. One of the more interesting storylines from this grid will be Vladimiros Tsiotsis, the driver who retired after just one corner in the Saturday race and took the victory in EuroNASCAR 2 yesterday evening. So he retired from the pro race and then won the EuroNASCAR 2 race. But because he didn't complete a single lap in EuroNASCAR Pro, Vladimiros Tsiotsis will be starting from 25th and last on the grid. So we could see him make some serious positions. As you can see, the fans are here in their droves for the EuroNASCAR event. The American SpeedFest 10, we've been coming to Brands Hatch Circuit, in fact, for over 10 years, but the American SpeedFest event now in its 10th anniversary. And it has always been a highlight of the EuroNASCAR calendar. The NASCAR Whelen Euro Series always bringing the excitement, and this year has been no exception so far. It extends well beyond the racing itself as well. You have all sorts of accoutrement. You have a full-on funfair theme park. You have country music. There's a live music stage this year. As always, car clubs representing American manufacturers are here in their droves. And of course, we've got thousands of fans around the facility, really adding to the atmosphere here at the American SpeedFest. And as you can see, on the Sunday at SpeedFest, we have this unique walkout setup. Going to make the drivers feel like, perhaps like WWE wrestlers doing entrances all of their own. And if anyone comes out to Stone Cold's music, they get 5 points. The cheerleaders are here. The drivers will be on the grid soon. And we are excited to bring you all of the racing action today. The spectators still shuffling down towards the grid. And once they're there, they'll find not just the EuroNASCAR Pro drivers, but also the EuroNASCAR 2 drivers, all of whom are perpetually eager and keen to talk to their fans, sign autographs, chat away. You often see youngsters getting the opportunity to sit in the cockpit of their hero's race car, and that is something that you don't see very often in any other formula than this. I believe that is Gordon Barnes, if I'm not mistaken, signing some autographs there. Gordon, one of a few British drivers. This is the number 99 promotion entry, which is new for this weekend. Tobias Downhauer will be driving the car in EuroNASCAR Pro, the young German competitor. But Gordon Barnes, the Brit, who is a two-time EuroNASCAR Club Challenge champion, is now a NASCAR racing driver, and he's well worth a follow on Twitter. He said yesterday, you know what, I don't care anymore. I'm a NASCAR racing driver. No one can take that away from me. I'm a NASCAR racing driver. And he was so excited to finally take a start in a racing environment here in EuroNASCAR. 43 minutes until the start command, then we'll have the traditional drivers start your engines, which is of course such a huge part of the American vibe, the American energy to the EuroNASCAR series. We always have a Grand Marshal. I'm sure we'll have another great Grand Marshal. We had John Doonan, president of IMSA, here yesterday giving the Grand Marshal commands. Of course, he was also here looking after the Garage 56 prototype, which is here on display. It's not the Garage 56 car that raced at the Le Mans 24 Hours, but it is one of the early prototypes. You see there Alberto Nasca. He's stood to attention to see the drivers onto the grid, as a number of people are. My colleague Gianluca is also down there as well, who is an integral part of making the media machine work for the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. The emergency vehicles there at the back of the grid. Of course, we could not go racing without our marshals. We've acknowledged quite a number of people this weekend, but let's take a moment to acknowledge the marshals who don't get to do any of this fun bit here. A few of them might be in amongst it. Vladimir Osiortsis, though, he's the first driver to take his entrance. He'll be starting from 25th on the grid. I'm sure he wouldn't like to be the very first driver introduced, but that is the circumstances that he finds himself in. 24th on the grid, Alina Leubneger there in the 94 car. Next row, Yevgen Sokolovsky and Matthew Ellis heading out. Great to see Yevgen back, of course, in his signature golf outfits, and almost elbows Matthew Ellis in the face. Thomas Dombrovski and Riccardo Romagnoli next up. Dombrovski, the youngster there, he'll be in the number 66 car, of course. Next up, row 10 of the grid, row 9 of the grid, Advait Bioda, the Indian driver based in London. He was joined there by Massimilio Lanza, the drivers of the number 1 and the 88. Next up, it will be Thomas Chrysonis in the 46, Thomas Tefel in the 34. It's Tefel there in the yellow outfit. It will be Chrysonis 15th, Tefel in 16th position. Next up, Neo Lambert and Ulysse Delceau taking the walk onto the grid, and that youngster in the red shirt is getting a lot of high fives all at once. Mark Goossens and Fabrizio Armetta, a former winner of the Formula Ford Festival here at Brands Hatch. Mark Goossens, the Goose, a driver with so much experience here at Brands and in general across so many different disciplines of motorsport. On to the top 10 then. Martin Dubeck will start 10th. Lucas Lasserre, who will start in 9th place. Lasserre, of course, being your championship leader at the moment. Then it's Giorgio Maggi. He'll be 8th on the grid. Frederic Gabillon, who will start in 7th position. Row 3 of the grid, Sebastian Blekemolen in the number 69, and Tobias Dauenhauer, who will be in the number 99 car. And great to see Dauenhauer starting in the top 5 on his first weekend back in over a year. Anthony Kumpen in the 24 and Liam Hasemans in the number 50. They're row 2 of the grid, and I love seeing that. Liam's older brother and Mike Hasemans shared a car with Anthony Kumpen many times. Now it's Anthony sharing a grid row with Liam Hasemans. Vittorio Gorelli second on the grid. He is going to be challenging this man, Gianmarco Ercoli, Jimmy Ercoli, the driver who took the win yesterday here at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. And he was a popular winner yesterday. He'll be looking to win here at Brands Hatch for the 3rd time in about 39 minutes time when the engines go off. The drivers have now headed towards their cars. They will begin the diligent process of signing autographs and chatting to the fans, and we'll hear from some of them, of course, in the build-up to this race as well. Now that we have finished that section, I do want to complete my thank you to the marshals, the heroes in orange, who are currently situated around this circuit on their marshal posts, all volunteers, of course, and we could not go racing without them, be it some of the biggest events of the year on the British calendar, like American Speedfest, or just your average UK club meeting. None of these events would go ahead if it wasn't for the effort and the selflessness of our volunteer marshals. We could not do this without them, and we thank them as always. We thank the tens of thousands of people who are here at Brands Hatch for American Speedfest. And it's worth noting, of course, that we have extended American Speedfest to 2028, a 5-year extension with Brands Hatch, with MSVR, has been agreed. We will be here for a good time and a long time over the next few years at the American Speedfest. You see representatives from Cal Racing there. They, of course, are the team running Jimmy Ercoli. I like that man's Stetson. That is a very nice look. Well done, sir. 37 minutes then till the start line command, and we've run out of Brands Hatch. The width of the circuit is exceeded by the breadth of our crowd, which is a fabulous sight. This traditional track walk that we do, or this grid walk that we do prior to the race, is always spectacular, and it seems to get a little bit bigger each and every year. We can now go down, though, to our first driver, and rather aptly, it's our pole sitter with Andre Viegold.
Thank you so much, Adam. I'm here with Gianmarco Ercoli. You took your first win of the season yesterday. I think you want to make the sweep perfect today, right?
Yeah, it's possible to improve. It's possible to improve in race 2. I start always in the pole position, and today it's possible to have the rain because now the sky isn't well. So if I have the rain, it's difficult because we can't change the setup and change only the wheels. So it's possible race with the rain wheels and the setup not for the rain. So now I'm waiting the rain, but I think it's possible race with a normal track, and my strategy is the same of yesterday: start fast and management my speed, because today it's possible enter the safety car. Yesterday no, and I think it's the first time in Brands Hatch who finished the race without the safety car. Today I'm sure arrive 1, 2 safety car, sure, because it's the last day and the driver are very hard. So I think only to my progression.
All right. Grazie mille, thank you so much, have fun. And with weather predictions, we should ask our Englishman, Adam.
You've got the sky over your head. I've got a roof over mine. I can't see what the what the weather is doing from here, unfortunately. We do know that there was meant to be rain today. As of Saturday afternoon, it seemed to think it was going to be quite a wet day in Kent, but we haven't had too much precipitation yet today. Hopefully it does hold off, but if you look at those clouds above on this wide shot of the circuit, you know, I've spent a lot of my childhood here at Brands Hatch, and when this weather made itself clear, I'd usually be reaching for my poncho. So let's see what happens. Vittorio Girelli, let's see what he wants. Wet or dry?
I'm here with Vittorio Girelli. Gianmarco Ercoli already said there's going to be trouble if the rain is coming. You have to change to rain tires because the setup of the cars is not meant to be for rainy conditions. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it depends also how much rain comes down, and if it comes and when it comes. But yeah, mainly the cars are all set for dry setup, so it will be tricky for sure. But it's the same for everyone, you know. Maybe someone took the risk and put a wet setup in. But anyway, I will do my race. I will go for it and see what comes out.
Maybe you can explain me what is the difference between a dry setup and a rain setup?
Well, basically the rain setup, obviously, you have to take water out from the tires. So, I mean, less camber, a bit more soft in general, to have more traction. I can't give out so many secrets anyway, but yeah, it's a bit different. It's quite a bit different, but also depends on how much water, you know, you have. Also, the tire pressures vary a lot. You need to bring temperature in the tires because with the rain, you get less temperature. So it's tricky for sure, but I mean, I have some experience, so we'll see what the sky does, and then we figure out something.
Grazie mille, have fun.
Cheers, thanks.
Back to Adam.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, isn't it? In the wet conditions, you want really a softer car more than anything. In GT racing 20, 30 years ago, before everything was a GT3 car, those that were purpose-built racing machines would suffer in the wet versus those cars that were built from road machinery initially, because they were inherently softer just in the construction. So when it got wet, often the more stock cars would actually serve out better. Of course, these cars are all identical in terms of actual specifications, so that isn't quite as prominent of an issue. But those who perhaps like their car a little softer sprung may want the rain. I think we might get to this race without the rain, but we'll have to wait and see. Liam Hazeman doesn't want his hair to get wet, does he?
Yeah, let's find out what Liam Hazelman thinks about the maybe upcoming rain in this race. What do you think? Is it better for you to stay in the dry, or when you have some sprinkles?
For me, well, to be fair, it depends. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, yesterday we were fast enough in the dry. Just a little mistake by my side. But I mean, I think the rain could also play in our favor, because as we know, like here in the dry, it's quite difficult to pass. It is possible, but you then really have to be really close and really at a good spot. But I think the rain maybe will make stuff more exciting, also for just in the race, for the fans also. Like if we have to make maybe a stop, also for changing tires, who knows? It could be interesting for everybody.
I talked to Vittorio Ghirelli about the differences in the setup of the car between dry conditions and rainy conditions. Now, what about the driving style when it's raining? What are you doing then differently than in the dry?
Yeah, well, of course, the thing is, if you have, like, for example, a whole weekend when you drive in the rain, you know, you can adapt. Like, you have plenty of time to adapt. Like, you have 2 free practices of 30 minutes or 1 hour just to train in the rain. The thing now is, of course, I think almost nobody has ever driven here in the rain. So if it starts raining, you have to adapt, like, really, really quickly. You have, I think, 1 lap, and if you maybe brake a bit too late or whatsoever, you're directly in the grass. So no, you cannot afford to make a mistake or whatsoever. So that's the big difference. It's really to adapt really quickly.
All right, thank you, well, and good luck.
Thank you.
And Adam, I think he said something very interesting yesterday already. We had the rain fall down between the races. It was dry when EuroNASCAR was back on track. Maybe we have some luck here today. And in the past years, rain was never any topic, and we are in the UK.
I know, right? I do think that when we go EuroNASCAR 2 racing a little later on, we are definitely going to have rain. The rain is very much forecast for later this afternoon. I think the big question mark is whether the rain falls before or indeed during this EuroNASCAR Pro race. I think that's the real question mark here. I regret to inform you that if you're in the Kent area, you are almost certainly getting rain today. I'm reliably informed over 90% chance of that. But the question is, will it fall over Brands Hatch during this EuroNASCAR Pro race? And then it also becomes a question of which teams have done the most pit stop drills, of course. PK Carsport, they're a team that have done a lot of pit stop drills, and you're with Anthony Kumpen.
Our commentator Adam said PK Carsport, due to the history of the team in EuroNASCAR, should be able to do fast pit stops when the rain coming.
I guess they do, yeah. My team is, they're very professional. You know, it's quite different, these kind of pit stops, because we don't do them often. But we do a lot of GT racing there, it's with pit stops. So if there's a pit stop, I'm quite sure my boys do well.
We talked a lot about the rain, but it's not here, so let's get this topic away. What about the experience on a track like this? You're one of the most experienced drivers on the grid. How is it to be on the grid with the young guys? Do you think you can utilize from what you've learned in the last years?
Well, the thing is that the tires change over the past few years, and we don't have so much data about that, so it's pretty similar for everybody. Obviously, experience and a long race helps. For sure, the second race where the tires are going down and you already used them for 1 race, so I hope we'll be okay. Looks good. The speed was there, but we didn't get everything back in the package, so I hope we have it to now.
All right, thank you, well, good luck.
Thank you.
Back to you, Adam.
Thank you very much, Andre. One thing I did want to say as well, of course, we've had the cheerleaders the last couple of days. You may also note we've got American footballers present. Those are members of the Kent Phoenix Youth American Football Team, based in Maidstone. We've also got a few of the other teams from, I believe, largely British Youth American football there. You saw the Legion jersey there as well, on the gentleman wearing number 66 in the back of shot. We do have the American footballers here as well. Will it be a touchdown, though, for Gianmarco Ercoli? That's the big question. Can he make it 2 from 2 here at Brands Hatch? For Giorgio Maggi, the question is, can he retain that junior trophy points lead?
Adam asked if you can retain the junior trophy points lead, and is this the goal?
Well, I'll take it, but of course the goal is the main championship, and Currently, we were not looking too strong yesterday. It was okay. I mean, 6th place is still good points, but obviously we aim for more.
Consistency is key in EuroNASCAR. Finishing inside the top 10, top 5 all the time brings you into the title battle. So when it comes to the one position, do you go all for it or just have the big picture in mind?
It's really hard to judge because you really need to evaluate the risk if you can take it or not. But obviously every position is an extra point or an extra 4 points if you go for the lead. So yeah, at the end, in the last few seasons, there was quite a small gap between winner and the one behind.
Yeah. About risk management, this is a track where your spotter can watch all the circuit, can give you any advice, a lot of advice, and exactly see what the opponents are doing. What information do you get during a race at Brands Hatch from your spotter?
Not too much, because I actually don't like it too much, because we have a small delay. And if somebody is looking late into the corner, I rather judge with my mirrors than have my spotter. But for me, it's very important, the gap between the front, the guy in front of me, and especially the guys behind me, especially for the first race of the weekend, just to manage tires. Like yesterday, I just wasn't fast enough to really get past Blakemon, so I just retained the position, but I noticed already in the mirror that Tauner was closing in quite fast. So keeping these informations also where the lapped cars are very helpful just to manage the overall race.
Dankeschön und viel Spaß, viel Glück.
Dankeschön.
Back to you, Adam.
There you go, Giorgio Maggi. Interesting that he's aiming for that overall title, isn't it? He's not too far away. It's a reasonable expectation. With the points being so close, he's 6th position in the championship, but he's only 12 points back from the title lead of Lucas Lasser at the moment, as we saw on that graphic at the start of this broadcast. 25 minutes until the commanders given start engines. You see the fans still there flocking, some of them heading back to the stands now to try and get their preferred seating position. Mine was always up and right on the Paddock Hill Bend grandstand. That was what I always attempted to do at the big events here at Brands Hatch. You see there some of the big rides this weekend. It really is a proper festival of motorsport, of Americana, of fun and good times, the American SpeedFest, and so exciting to know that this is going to be a fixture of the Brands Hatch calendar all the way up until 2028. Of course, we've talked a little bit about the rain. In general, there's a bit of a grip variation here this weekend because parts of this circuit have been resurfaced. Paddock Hill Bend was resurfaced not too long ago. Graham Hill Bend, I believe, was resurfaced this week. I think some of our drivers are even helping them paint the new curbs in the build to this weekend. So certainly, rain or no rain, Graham Hill Bend is a particularly slick part of the circuit. And if it does rain, in the past, Graham Hill Bend would often puddle on the inside line going into that corner. So turn 3 of the lap, Graham Hill Bend, you'd often get a puddle on the apex over the curb. The curb would disappear into a small lake. And I do wonder if the resurfacing has stopped that, or whether that could be a factor if we do get rain. Fred Gabillon, we will now go down to him with Andre Vigold.
Thank you so much, Adam. Just one question. Anthony Kumpen gave you a great advice in the fast left-hander to go flat out. Did you try it?
Yes, but it doesn't work, you know. It was just a joke yesterday. Yeah.
What about your performance yesterday and the overall performance of the car?
No, yesterday it was really hard because at the start, you know, Vladimir, he broke his throttle just at the apex, so I have lost 3 places. And after, the car was really hard on the long seat, but I was able to manage a little gap to make a quite good time for today. So we start P7, but obviously the car is really hard to drive, and it's hard for me to find a good setup. But we will see. We have tried something for this race, so we will see after the race if it's work or not.
You have experienced so many American Speedfests in your life. How is it this year with the crowd, with all the people, with the attractions? Do you love it?
It's always a good weekend, you know. Yeah, no, it's like all the other year, you know, lots of fan crowd. No, it's really fun to be here. The track is fun, and all the people are really great and nice. So no, it's a good event as always.
Merci beaucoup. Good luck.
Thanks.
Back to you, Adam.
So Fred mentioned there some of the trials and tribulations, some of the incidents from yesterday. Of course, one of the crashes that we saw yesterday involving Patrick Schauber and Jack Davidson, the 27 double V car of Patrick Schauber and the 48 of Jack Davidson. I understand the 48 team, the Marco Stipp Motorsport crew, have managed to repair that car yet again. They needed to do it after Friday as well. So Yevgen Sokolovsky will take the start. We, of course, saw him on the grid introductions earlier. I believe Stefano Attianese is not going to be taking the start, unfortunately, in the 27. Let's go down to Tobias Downhauer with Andre Viegold.
I'm here with Tobias Downhauer, who's making his comeback with a team that's making its debut promotion from Germany. German team, small team here today, but they seem to do a really great job, right?
Yeah, it's the first race for my new team, and yeah, we experienced a lot this weekend, and I try to give my experience to the team. And yeah, they are learning fast, and yesterday in the race we showed a good pace, so I'm looking forward to the second race now, and yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot to be back in EuroNASCAR finally.
What are your expectations for today?
I try to fight for the podium. I mean, in the warm-up tomorrow we were on the third place, so looking forward, and hopefully we make a step forward to the front and stay on the podium at the end.
What about the event? Did you have the chance to somehow soak in the atmosphere of the American SpeedFest?
Yeah, it's amazing here. It's a great event, a lot of fans, and hopefully we can make a good show now in the race. And yeah, thanks to all these amazing fans. It's awesome, just also for us drivers.
In September we're going back to Germany after being at Hockenheim in the past. We're now going to Oschersleben. So this is also something very special for you and the team, right?
Yeah, absolutely. As a German driver with a German team, it's nice to have a German Grand Prix, and I'm looking forward to it. It's nice to see EuroNASCAR cars on this track, and yeah, will be a lot of fun, I think.
Vielen Dank, good luck, and see you later.
Thank you.
Back to you, Adam.
Yes, the Motorsport Arena Oschersleben being introduced to the calendar this year, of course. A facility that a few years ago underwent a modification, of course, to the first corner that was rather infamously derided by touring car legend John Cleland. I can say to you that these days they run the original configuration of Oschersleben, so a much faster and less angular turn one. It's a great little circuit. I've seen other categories race there in person and from the commentary box, and I'm looking forward to seeing how EuroNASCAR fares there. Let's go back down to Andre.
Thank you so much. I'm here with Nick Schneider. Normally we can talk in German, but there's a Brazilian flag on your racing suit. So just to explain the people your heritage, your roots. German, Brazilian, yeah, just keep going.
All right, so pretty much I'm half German, half Brazilian. I was born in Germany, but I have my roots in Brazil as well. You know, most of my family coming from Curitiba, also especially my mom being born there, being a thoroughbred Brazilian, as I like to say. So yeah, Ayrton Senna do Brasil is my idol. As we all know, he's a legend, and so for me, the Brazilian flag has an immense meaning that no other flag in the entire world has. And so to me, it's an honor to be able to use it, and that's why I have it on my race suit. That's why I'm representing Brazil. E viva Brasil! Vamos lá e vamos tentar ganhar hoje.
You're completely new to EuroNASCAR with those heavy stock cars, V8 power, 400 brake horsepower, amazing cars to drive, or?
Definitely sick to drive, and a huge challenge compared to something else, because 450 horsepower V8 with a dog box gearbox is quite a challenge, especially when you're trying to clutchless shift. It does take some getting used to, but once you got it in, it's absolutely amazing, and it's the most thrilling experience ever. And I think once you know how to drive a EuroNASCAR, you can drive whatever the heck you want. It just works.
And now you have to teach me how to say thank you in Portuguese.
De nada, obrigado.
De nada?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
There you go.
Oh, I can remember that for the next time.
Good.
All right, thank you so much.
See ya.
Back to you, Adam.
Great interviewer, cunning linguist. He's got it all, does Andre Viegold. Great to hear from Nick Schneider there. As you can see, we're under 20 minutes away from the start line command. You've got military representatives there from, I believe, a local US military base. on the start line as well. I think we'll get some more details on them shortly. And we also know that our Grand Marshal is going to be a representative from Whelen Engineering. It'll be Michelle Mandel from Whelen Engineering giving us the Grand Marshal duties today, which is exciting. Good to see so many of our partners coming to this incredible event that is American Speedfest. Such a showcase for everything that EuroNASCAR is. Let's go down to Andre.
Because I have here the NASCAR International Chief Officer, Chad Ziegler.
Yeah.
Yesterday you were already here, but Sunday is something very special, right?
Yeah, first of all, glad to be back with you again. But yeah, you can tell, I told someone earlier, like you see a crowd and you see attendance, but then sometimes you feel it, right? You feel it as soon as you walk in. So today you can feel that there's a extra buzz in the air, which is fun.
Compared to the events in the US, the NASCAR events we have there, how do you compare it? Is it similar, the atmosphere and how the people are here?
It's very similar. First of all, the crowd here is very knowledgeable of NASCAR, but I was mentioning to someone, I think last year the attendance here was 41,000. That's the same size as some of the events we have in the U.S. So for anyone that's never been to a NASCAR race in the U.S., you can come here and know and say you've been to a NASCAR race because it is very similar.
All right, thank you so much and enjoy.
Thank you. Everyone have fun.
Thank you so much. Back to you, Adam.
There you go. Great to continue to hear from some of those who are working very hard on increasing NASCAR's international footprint. The international audience has always been there for NASCAR, of course, and NASCAR has been acutely aware of it. You can look back to the likes of Dale Earnhardt Sr. racing at Suzuka the better part of 30 years ago or 25 years ago with demo events or non-championship events, invitationals in Japan. There's always been an interest in expanding that outreach, and more you're seeing localized versions of NASCAR, localized NASCAR official series across South America, here in Europe as well, and I'm sure that expansion will only grow. I think European NASCAR interest has been at an all-time high, especially with the Garage 56 project at the Le Mans 24 Hours. I've often had to kind of explain to people, no, there's a European NASCAR series, EuroNASCAR. I get the feeling more and more people are aware now after the Le Mans project, which is really cool to see. I think Andre has some more interviews.
Yes, thank you so much, Adam. And this is what it's all about, the fans that we have here at the American Speedfest. Is it your first time here?
No.
How many times have you been here?
At least the last 5 years.
5 years. How do you like it so far this year?
We love it. We come like every year.
What about you?
It's really fun.
What is your favorite attraction here?
I like the drifting and the monster truck.
What about you? How do you enjoy it so far?
The racing's one of the best things. And the drifting, yeah, that's good. And the monster truck, yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Enjoy this event here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have more fans here, Adam, so wait a second, please. How do you like it so far?
It's brilliant. I love it.
What is your favorite car on the grid?
Max Lanza. Max Lanza. Number 88.
88, right. Yeah. What about you?
Max Lanza.
I see the Italian flag, so it's okay. You're from Italy?
Half English, half Italian. So wife is Italian, I'm English, so we have to wear only Italian sportswear.
Yeah. All right. Grazie mille and enjoy the event.
Very much. Yeah. Ciao, ciao. Forza Max.
I'd love to be in that household during an England-Italy football game. I'm sure that doesn't get at all competitive or angsty. And I guess the kids claim a nation based on who wins at penalties. And knowing England, they're probably lifelong Italy supporters. Oh, goodness me. What a great festival this is. You can see the likes of the Bullet Dodge Charger. You got the also, I think, the Bullet Boss 302 there as well. Pontiac Trans Ams in the on Colin Chapman way as well. I remember seeing the replicas of the Smokey and the Bandit car last year as well here at Speedfest. Always so much iconic American muscle car representation here at the American Speedfest, and I feel like the American car community only grows every year in the UK. It feels like there's more and more people who just can't resist an old school V8 motor. And that is part of the reason why American Speedfest is just so popular here in the UK. So many people aspire to Americana here over on this side of the pond. There is the aforementioned monster truck. It's not just a monster truck, it's a passenger monster truck. It's a monster truck that seats 7. In fact, no, it seats 8. Perfect for the school run then. I'm sure the MPG is very good as well on Slingshot, the monster truck. Did love my Monster Jam when I was a kid myself as well. What a spectacle that is. And yet another string in the bow of the spectacle of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series and the American Speedfest. And you see there the US military members there. They are stood to attention, and we are now at the point where the crowd has largely been taken away from the grid, which means we are getting closer and closer to the beginning of racing action here at Brands. So then the anthems will come shortly, as is tradition here at the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series events. We usually have the American anthem followed by our local anthem, and we will have no doubt another routine from the KCA dancers as well, the cheerleading squad. And the start command will be given by Michelle Mandel from Whelen Engineering, my apologies, in about 10 minutes time or 11 minutes time. And at that point, we very quickly get onto the formation lap. And from there, we go racing. It will be 38 laps of the circuit for the EuroNASCAR Pro category. Race distance tends to be 75 kilometers around a lot of our circuits. That works out at something like 17, maybe 18 laps here at Brands Hatch. It works out at 38, enough to get you dizzy around this 1.2 mile, 1.9 kilometer circuit. And as you can see there, the race distance 73 kilometers, 73.3 kilometers. And while it only has 6 corners according to our track map, this circuit is technical and extremely challenging. We've seen a lot of drivers set themselves up for an overtake at Druids at turn 1, which is Paddock Hill Bend. Druids is turn 2 after the run up Halewood Hill. You head back downhill towards Graham Hill Bend, set yourself up for the Cooper Straight. The Surtees Bend is turn 4. You then go through Clark Curve and Clearways to complete the lap. And while it is a short circuit, it is a circuit rife with challenges. There's a difference between being quick here and mastering the circuit. And I think very few have ever mastered the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Perhaps Rod Burley, the winningest driver in UK racing history, but very few others have really got the stranglehold on this facility. Alan Day liked it here, our champion from last year. Of course, he's not defending his title in 2023, and that opens the floodgates to all of the other contenders on this hugely high-quality EuroNASCAR Pro grid, including, of course, Jimmy Ercole, Gianmarco Ercole, the driver who was in fisticuffs with Alan Day, thankfully only metaphorically, at Brands Hatch last year. Those two had a real fight. You saw it in brief in the intro video to this broadcast. They made contact on the rundown from Druids to Graham Hill Bend, and Ercole's rear of the car was stoved in and damaged after that. And certainly one of the points of the season that Ercole would have loved to have reset the clock on and tried again. But there are no restarts in the real world. This is not sim racing. And thankfully, Coley was able to get his car repaired. And I must say, Marco Stipp Motorsport have done an incredible job getting that 48 car repaired for Yevgen Sokolovsky and Jack Davidson in EuroNASCAR 2. After Davidson having another smash there, not really of his own fault. And as you can see, here's a bit of a demonstration from the US Air Force, the US military service here. Let's listen and watch them.
nada de Leo.
These are the United States Air Force crew stationed at RAF Mildenhall. I think it was an Air Force uniform, but my knowledge is limited. And sure enough, the US Air Force, the USAF, of course, still closely partnered with the Royal Air Force here in the UK. Those guys stationed at Mildenhall, and a really wonderful rendition there of the Star-Spangled Banner. And now we have the cheerleader team doing their show as well. We are less than 5 minutes away from the countdown to command. And again, I just think that anyone who does this kind of athleticism on a tarmac surface is a very, very brave individual. I admire that immensely. And great to see this, again, American festivities. You had the American football team there. I don't know if this is actually the Kent Phoenix cheerleading team. I know we have the Kent Phoenix footballers out on the circuit in the run to this event, which is obviously fabulous to see. I believe they had their big Phoenix Bowl event just a few weeks ago, including quite a few other teams from the British American football scene, which is, yes, I grant you, a bit of a misnomer. But American football is actually quite a significantly large sport in Europe, increasingly more so. It's quite big in Germany. That much I know for sure. And in fact, if you ever remember that song "What Is Love" by Hadaway, he used to be an American footballer in Germany. So there's your fun fact for the afternoon. 3 minutes and 40 seconds until the engines fire. After that, we will very promptly be on to our formation lap here at the American SpeedFest. It's the third of 4 EuroNASCAR races at this American SpeedFest weekend. It's round 4 of the EuroNASCAR Pro season, of course. And we do have the EuroNASCAR 2 race to come. As far as I know, still no rain here at the circuit. I do think the forecast suggests it will just about hold off for the EuroNASCAR Pro race, but I'm sure some of the teams are looking overhead and going, please no. I feel like the clouds aren't quite as prominent as they were maybe 30 minutes ago at this stage. But of course, we'll have to wait and see. The weather can change in an instant. I do think we're going to get rain for EuroNASCAR 2 later on, but EuroNASCAR Pro might just get away with going lights to flag in dry conditions. What about green flag conditions? Well, that's harder to predict. Certainly, it was a cleaner race for EuroNASCAR Pro than EuroNASCAR 2 yesterday. I always get the feeling that the Sunday races are a little more emboldened by the fact that the cars are not going to be needed for a few weeks after Sunday. But of course, the EuroNASCAR Pro drivers largely sharing the exact same vehicle with the EuroNASCAR 2 teammates. There are a few cars out there like Anthony Kumpen in the PK Car Sport entry. That number 24 is vacant in EuroNASCAR 2, so his car doesn't need to be racing later on this afternoon in EuroNASCAR 2, but that's not a case for a majority of the grid. So the EuroNASCAR Pro drivers really can't afford to go out there and wreck their cars. And of course, in racing, typically there's a baseline budget that you pay to the team for your racing, and then there is additional costs if they have to keep preparing it for you. So that's a consideration as well, for sure. It's less than 90 seconds then until we get that start line command. Michel Mandel from Whelen Engineering will be giving us the start line command shortly. The 1 minute board is being readied and the marshal's readying up as well. I note that that marshal has a 100th anniversary Le Mans centenary orange suit, so that means he was in the south or in the north of France helping officiate the Le Mans 24 hours just 7 days ago, which is really exciting. Quite a few car clubs, spectators, personnel have come from Le Mans 1 week to American SpeedFest the next. June, very much an exciting time to be a racing fan in the north side of, or rather the west side of Europe in general. And we're very much looking forward to getting the start command, which will come in less than 30 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I am going to throw down to the start line, where I think we're about to get that command.
Those infamous and famous words.
On behalf of Whelen Engineering, drivers, start your engines.
And we saw the switch flick there. I believe that was the 54 car of Gianmarco Ercoli being fired. Everyone else's cars have also been fired up. We're ready to go racing. And it will be Gianmarco Ercoli on a pole position. The pre-race festivities have reached their conclusion. It's now time to focus on the racing action, and it will be Ercoli and Girelli with an all-Italian front row of the grid. I'm sure that family in the Italian football jerseys are excited to see that. Ercoli on pole position for Cal Racing, the number 54, Vittorio Girelli in the 72 car. He lines up second. Liam Hasemans will start from third place alongside Anthony Kumpen. Those two very familiar with each other for many years before Liam was ever in a race car. Tobias Downhauer in the promotion, number 99, has got Sebastian Blakemolen alongside him in the 69. Frederic Gabillon in the number 3. Giorgio Maggi will be alongside him in the 18. And to round out our top 10, our fifth row of the grid, the 64 of Lucas Lasser, our championship leader coming into this race. He's alongside 2021 EuroNASCAR 2 champion, Martin Dubek. So the cars are rolling 2 formation laps around this short 1.2 mile Brands Hatch Indy circuit. And just to continue on with our grid, 11th is Fabrizio Armetta. He is on row 6 alongside Mark Goossens in the 56. So 55 and 56 will line up alongside each other on the grid. I like that. Patterns are nice. Ulysse Delso in the 14 car alongside Neo Lambert in the number 40. That's row 7. Thomas Chrysonis on row 8 alongside Thomas Tefel in the 34. Advait Diodar in the number 1 alongside Massimilio Lanza on row 9. The 1 and the 88. Thomas Dombrowski and Riccardo Romagnoli on row 10. Row 11, Yevgen Sokolovsky and Matthew Ellis. Row 11, that is. Yevgen Sokolovsky, Matthew Ellis. Row 12, Stefano Attianese is not going to be taking the start, I believe, unfortunately. Double V Racing not able to get that car out there. The 94, Elena Leubneger, is joined by Vladimir Siortsis towards the back of the order. Siortsis from 25th on the grid. I'm sure he's thinking he needs to preserve the car for EuroNASCAR 2, where he is currently our championship leader by 15 points over Alberto Nasca. But Vladimir Siortsis, above all else, is a racing driver. Ergo, I expect him to try and make up some positions. So second formation lap ongoing. And before long, these cars will start to pack up in 2x2 formation. From there, it will be 38 laps of racing around this wonderful Brands Hatch Indy circuit, a track that has seen so much history. Brands Hatch, a former Formula One venue, a British Touring Car Championship venue for so many years, obviously still a huge part of the BTCC calendar. It's hosted the World Sports Car Championship, the World Touring Car Championship. So much has happened at this venue, the World Superbikes as well. But on the current Brands Hatch schedule, there are very few gems, if any, that shine brighter than the American SpeedFest. It's the 10th anniversary of the American SpeedFest. We know we're going to at least get it to 15. We're going to keep going until 2028. That was confirmed in the build to this event. And the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series will continue to be a huge part of the Brands Hatch calendar. Do you want to know why? Well, watch on for the next 38 laps, because we are in for a barnstormer. It's Ercole and Garelli on the front row. They roll down towards the lights that will go out any second now, and we are racing. It's Gianmarco Ercole and Vittorio Garelli side by side as they approach the first corner. Liam Hazeman's in third place. They're trying to get to the inside of Vittorio Garelli, but no. Anthony Kumpen in fourth position. Fifth and sixth place, I believe that's is that the 18 of Maggi? Yes, Giorgio Maggi from 8th on the grid is there in 5th, maybe 6th position. Everybody else tiptoeing through the first corners. I think everyone has got through the first two bends cleanly. And look at Giorgio Maggi. He's all the way up into 5th from 8th on the grid. That's a very impressive start. Tobias Downhauer trying to hold on to 6th place up against Sebastian Blakemolen. But it is Gianmarco Ercole that leads the way. Ercole, Garelli and Hazeman's your top three. Lap 1 of 38. We're about to cross the line to begin the second lap of the race. And Garelli is keeping a watching brief over that 54 car. Yesterday we saw Ercole get a gap of about 2 seconds, maintain it, drive away. And of course, one of the question marks we have to consider as well, these Hoosier tyres, they're the same ones that were on the cars in yesterday's race as well. Therefore, those who were perhaps a little more careful, a little less aggressive on Saturday, that could pay dividends twice, 3 times over on the Sunday. The top 4 already breaking away. Anthony Kumpen just about holding on to the back of Liam Hazeman's in this early stage. Now Hazeman's can make an overtake around the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Just ask Martin Dubek. Just ask Alberto Nasca. He dispatched with both of them in the space of about 4 corners to take his maiden EuroNASCAR 2 win here last year. And Hazeman's there trying to set himself up for a good run up towards Druids. So already looking a little bit feisty here, but in doing that, he's also invited Anthony Kumpen a little bit closer to his rear bumper. Giorgio Maggi trying to bridge the gap between the top 4 and himself, and he's bringing Tobias Downhauer with him. They go through Surtees for the 3rd time. And I think Liam Hazeman's is taking the shackles off this number 50 car. I get the impression, just looking at the body language of the car, that he wants to get to the front and get to the front quickly. Watch his line versus Garelli's into the first corner. You see he goes much wider into the turn. That's in order to get a better run out of the corner. He's slower into the corner, but because he's wide, he then gets a far better run down the second phase of Paddock Hill Bend and then back up Hailwoods Hill. Not close enough to make a move into Druids, of course, but I think he's making his intentions pretty clear. I also think that Vittorio Girelli is experienced enough, talented enough to know exactly what Liam Hazelmans has planned. Hazelmans a little bit closer this time, I think, to Vittorio Girelli. And of course, Gianmarco Ercoli will be watching in the mirrors, willing this on. He's going, yes, go on, fight each other. That's perfect. And we'll see whether or not that happens. Just saw Frederic Gabillon being slipstreamed by Lucas Lasserre. That was back in 10th and 11th position. Some side-by-side action further back in the pack as well as everyone starts to spread out, and Hazelmans was up the inside at Druids. Hazelmans was going for second place. Has he managed to get through? We'll see them come out of Graham Hill Bend, but Liam Hazelmans was there in second place, I believe. Let's please take a look at that. They'll head towards Surtees Bend now, and yes, Liam Hazelmans has gotten through into second place. Nice stuff from the Dutchman. Liam Hazelmans is up to second position. I think he managed to make that slingshot work in his favour. Once again taking the wider line into Paddock Hill Bend, and already he is very close behind Gianmarco Ercoli. Once again, Hazelmans stances his car out wide into the first corner, but Ercoli not much narrower on his run through the turn either. But Hazelmans looks like he's got so much speed around Paddock Hill Bend specifically. We saw this last year as well. He just seems to be very brave around that particular section of the circuit. Graham Hill Bend, again, it seems as though Hazelmans had more speed through that part of the corner, and Gianmarco Ercoli has company, and it's Liam Hazelmans. And, well, they seem to be getting along better after their collision at Valencia. But I don't think Gianmarco Ercoli has invited this unwelcome sight of Liam Hazelmans in his rear view mirror. We go on to lap 7 of the race. Will it be 7th heaven for Liam Hazelmans? He's trying to claim a win here in a EuroNASCAR Pro debut full season. Of course, he did most of the 2022 season in EuroNASCAR Pro, but this is his first proper title attempt. He wants the junior trophy, but moreover, he wants the overall title. He knows he's got the pace. He's got a bit of an experience deficit to the likes of Gianmarco Ercoli, but you wouldn't know it looking at the way he races. A little bit wide there through Graham Hill Bend. You saw him take a shallow entry into the corner, but I think he tried to carry apex speed that the angle he'd left himself at was not going to allow. And the result of that, a little bit of a sideways moment. The 56 and the 99 both have penalties. That is Tobias Downhauer, the 56 car, further back in the pack. We'll come back to that, though, because Liam Hazelmans is right on the back of this 54 car of Gianmarco Ercoli. Hazelmans for Hendricks Motorsport, Ercoli for Cal Racing, two of the biggest outfits in EuroNASCAR, two of the most successful outfits in EuroNASCAR. Of course, the Hendricks Motorsport team and the Hazelmans family very much in lockstep. That's where Loris had most of his successes, the elder brother of Liam. And Cal Racing have run so many successful drivers as well. Ercoli, Hazelmans may well be side by side this time if Liam Hazelmans has the run, and I think he does, but Gianmarco Ercoli just at the last possible minute stops Liam Hazelmans from getting the inside line into Paddock Hill Bend. The inside line into Paddock Hill is usually fruitful if you're side by side and you're on the inside line. I think the position is usually as good as yours, and Liam Hazelmans again looking which way he was going to be given by Gianmarco Ercoli. Ercoli very sensibly diving to the inside line to retain that position. We're not yet 10 laps into this race, but you get the feeling Liam Hazelmans is treating every lap like it's his last. He is pushing on hard. Anthony Kumpen just dipping some wheels off onto the grass there on the exit of Graham Hill Bend. That's going to leave him susceptible to Giorgio Maggi potentially. But let's see if Hazelmans gets the run this time. Hazelmans once again seems to get a slightly better exit out of Clark Curve and through Clearways. Meanwhile, Giorgio Maggi right there with Anthony Kumpen. Tobias Downhauer with a 5-second penalty looming over his head is also there and in contention. but he will be aware of that 5-second penalty before long, I'm sure. The 56 car that got the penalty was, of course, Mark Goossens. So Mark Goossens with a 5-second penalty, as well as Tobias Downhauer. So 2 drivers in the top 10 are due a 5-second penalty, and that is significant. Anthony Kumpen in 4th position. Just holding off for now, Giorgio Maggi. Everyone continuing on around this circuit. It's been fairly clean racing so far, but it's been very close. And Tobias Downhauer makes a little bit of an error there. He dips a wheel into the gravel, and that is going to knock him down the standings, more so than his 5-second penalty was ever going to, unfortunately. Downhauer down to 8th position, as Anthony Kumpen may well face pressure this time from Giorgio Maggi. But what's happened to Hazemans? Hazemans with a problem. It looked to me like potentially that tyre was deflating on the number 50 car. Liam Hazemans has had an issue there. Thought it looked like he might have had a puncture, but Liam Hazemans had a moment on the exit of Paddock Hill there. And his race is as good as over. It didn't look to me like Liam was going to keep going. Haven't seen his car since that immediate aftermath of the gravel trap, but we might see him this time by stationary towards Druids Bend, which would be a huge shame for Hazemans at the circuit where he took his first ever EuroNASCAR win in EuroNASCAR 2. I don't see the Hazemans car anywhere. He has not yet crossed the line. I think he might be trying to limp back to the pits, but we'll have to wait and see. He's currently registered 21st on the timing screen. Also worth noting, Frédéric Gabillon in the number 3 car. He is unfortunately in the pits, so Gabillon has had a problem. And Hazemans has not crossed the line, and he just now limps into pit lane. You see that there. Liam Hazemans heads into the pits. What a shame for Hazemans that this is how his race. It may not end, he might get the car back out there, but in terms of actually competing for any result, this is how his race ends, and that's a huge shame for the young Dutchman, who was one of the standout debutants last year, the standout debutant last year in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series paddock. And unfortunately for Hollywood Liam Hazemans, he's going to have to perform a classic cinematic underdog story to try and be a championship contender this year after this misfortune at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. We get a replay now of what happened to Hazemans. So he went off the circuit and he was at a very bad angle across the gravel, and I just want to see if I can see the tyre. Hopefully the shot allows us to see. I don't think it will. But it looked to me as if maybe just the sheer force of going fully sideways into that gravel trap may have parted the actual Hoosier rubber from the wheel. And that is why he's had to limp in, because it didn't look like he had damage before entering the gravel. It looked like he was just pushing too hard. But, well, we can argue the minutiae of it all we want. The reality is that car number 50 is still there in the pits, and even if it comes back out, Liam Hazemans will not have the result that we were anticipating, that he was wanting from this race. It looked as if he had all the pace for a podium, if not a win. It's not to be this time. Gianmarco Ercoli then, our race leader, by 4 seconds, 3.952 seconds last time across the line. He's really escaped Vittorio Girelli. Girelli in 2nd position with Anthony Kumpen and Giorgio Maggi right behind him. So Giorgio Maggi, who is the leading junior trophy runner, and incidentally with Hazemans just being still there in the pit lane and obviously not going to get a good point score, Giorgio Maggi should extend his junior trophy lead if all things end as they are here. That would be significant for Giorgio, but we heard it from Giorgio himself with Andre Viegold earlier on. Maggi is focusing on that overall title, not the junior trophy. He'll take the junior trophy, he said, but I'm focusing on the championship. Anthony Kumpen focusing on Vittorio Garelli right now. Had a little speculative look to the inside at Druids Bend. Already some lap traffic up ahead. I believe that might be Matthew Ellis's 58 car. Yes, it is. Nicely handled there by Ellis as Anthony Kumpen has the run and has the position. Wow, the acceleration there out of Graham Hill Bend. Kumpen got a brilliant run. And I'm wondering if it might be more because Vittorio Garelli's car is hampered, because he's also just lost out to Giorgio Maggi in remarkably simple fashion. I'm just wondering if Garelli is nursing a problem, because that looked a little bit too easy in both instances. Anthony Kumpen, I thought he got the mother and father of all runs out of Graham Hill Bend, but I'm now starting to think that Garelli may have had an issue there momentarily. Hopefully the car is okay. He's still running at speed. So whether or not he maybe missed a gear, whether there was a momentary issue of some description, I don't know. But the short end of it is that Vittorio Garelli is down to 4th place. Sebastian Blakemolen is up into 5th position. He's just ahead of Martin Dubeck. You see them just behind the black and white car of Ellis. So Seb Blakemolen in the 69 car, under significant pressure from Dubeck in the number 7. Martin Dubeck, who is once again, of course, doubling up in EuroNASCAR 2 and EuroNASCAR Pro this year, is having a better run of form currently in the Pro season than his EuroNASCAR 2 season. We saw him have a very positive weekend at Valencia, of course. He's got Tobias Dauenhauer behind him. Dauenhauer can try and make up some positions here. He possibly can. Of course, he has that 5-second penalty looming over his head. He, and indeed Mark Goosens with a penalty in 9th place, will be hoping that this race stays green. The last thing you want with a 5-second penalty is a safety car to bunch everybody back up, particularly a late safety car. Meanwhile, car 54 with a warning for track limits, and car 40, so Ercole has been given a bit of a warning for track limits, and the warnings are often pretty swiftly followed by penalties if you're not careful. So our race leader will have to keep aware of that. He needs to stay within the white lines. He hasn't got Liam Hazelman's absolutely charging behind him at this stage, so he doesn't really have any excuses. The number 40 car also receiving a warning for that. Is Neo Lambert. So then the gap between our leader and second place is 5.5 seconds. And you can see that Vittorio Garelli falling into the clutches of Sebastian Blakemolen here. So the Team Blakemolen cars are running close together. And again, Garelli's pace has just faded in the last few laps. A 50.588. It's not actually too bad of a lap time, but it seems that every lap or two, he loses a little bit of pace for a few seconds, and once again, offline there. Doesn't look as if he's got that much confidence in the car. I don't know whether maybe the best has been taken out of the tyres or something of that nature, but it seems pretty clear, as he's even getting blue flags as if he's a back marker, that he has a problem. Sebastian Blakemolen has gotten past him, so has Martin Dubeck, now Tobias Dauenhauer as well. Vittorio Garelli clearly hampered here by some sort of problem, which is a huge shame for him. He's falling out of the top 10 at a rate of knots. Of course, this is all brilliant for Lucas Lasserre, who's currently all the way up into 7th place. Our championship leader still there or thereabouts, in the verge, or well into the top 10 and on the verge of a top 5. Of course, Tobias Dauenhauer ahead of him will have a 5-second penalty anyway. So currently Lasserre is in a net 6th, and I think Dauenhauer and Lasserre may have met at the apex there of Druids Bend. You saw Lasserre getting wiggly there, and Lucas Lasserre has got through into 6th position. I think there may have been a little bit of contact between the two parties, and Lucas Lasserre is now up into 6th place and challenging for 5th place behind Martin Dubeck. Gianmarco Ercole is the closest competitor to Lucas Lasserre in the championship. As things stand, it would be Coley that leads the championship if he takes the win, and Leclerc finishes where he does. In fact, Coley, really barring just about any circumstances, should come out of this race as our championship leader so long as he takes the win. However, Lucas Leclerc, if he gets himself into the top 5, will still be right there in the hunt. We're over half distance then in this EuroNASCAR Pro race at the Brands Hatch Indy Circus. It is lap 22 of 38 here at Brands. You see Martin Dubeck there getting sideways. He's clearly pushing on behind Sebastian Bleekemolen. And Gianmarco Coley not worrying about any of this up front. Sebastian Bleekemolen, though, with a rear view mirror full of Martin Dubeck right now, the number 7 car. Dubeck currently 10th in the championship coming into this weekend, just 20 points off of the leader Lucas Leclerc. The top 10 in the championship separated by just 20 points after 3 rounds. Very exciting stuff. I think it may even end up closer than that if we're not too careful at the end of this weekend. Martin Dubeck and Lucas Leclerc, though, both looking to ascend through the pack. Of course, Leclerc, if he can get himself up into 4th place, that would be amazing for his championship hopes. He would still fall behind Coley. I think he would be just about even with Anthony Kumpen. But, of course, more points come with more places, so he'll be eager to work his way through if he possibly can. Dubeck is the buffer between Bleekemolen and Leclerc right now. Martin Dubeck, we know he's got good pace. We know he likes this Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Let's see if he can challenge the hugely experienced Dutchman, the former Clio Cup champion, the Porsche Cup stalwart, the class winner at the 2 biggest events of the American Endurance, or 2 of the biggest events in the American Endurance season, Petit Le Mans and the Sebring 12 Hours. Sebastian Bleekemolen has done it all and has the trophies to prove it. He's now defending up against Martin Dubeck. Lucas Leclerc runs very nicely through Paddock Hill bends, and I think Martin Dubeck picked up on that run and immediately went defensive into Druids, like, no, I see what's happening here. Also, we haven't mentioned him, but let's talk about Vladimiros Tsiotsis. You'll see on the side of your screen, he's now all the way up in 13th, so he's made up some really good positions, having started, of course, from 25th and last on the grid. Vladimiros Tsiotsis has worked his way up the pack very well indeed. The speedy Cypriot, the driver who leads the EuroNASCAR 2 championship, really showed that he was just as quick as anyone in EuroNASCAR Pro at Valencia. Unfortunately, Brands Hatch within EuroNASCAR Pro hasn't quite gone to plan for him. He still has a 100% record, 3 races, 3 wins in the 2023 EuroNASCAR 2 season. But he's certainly getting his fair share of overtaking done in this EuroNASCAR Pro race. We continue to follow this battle for 4th, 5th and 6th positions then. Sebastian Bleekemolen. Oh, and an off there for the number 94 car. That was Alina Leubnegger having an issue there at Graham Hill Bend. Whether she fell or whether she was pushed, we don't know. Oh, and Massimiliano Lanza. That's at Paddock Hill Bend. Massimiliano Lanza has had a big moment at Paddock Hill, and I can only imagine that that won't be covered under localized yellows. We'll have to wait and see. We await confirmation, but that is not a small off for Massimiliano Lanza there, and it's right at the start of Paddock Hill as well, so that would have been more than likely under braking. That will have been a heavy impact for Lanza. Dubeck and Leclerc still fighting it out. Leclerc will have to withdraw his guns though, because the safety car has been declared, the safety car deployed for the first time in this race. And of course, this is horrible news for Downhauer and Goossens in 7th and 9th places respectively, because their 5-second penalties for full starts will become a lot more costly once the field is all packed together. So the safety car is out, and we are more than likely going to return to racing with a very small number of laps on our timing screen. And this is also, as well as a shame for Downhauer and Goossens, it is of course a nightmare for Gianmarco Ercoli, because he had built a lead approaching, if not exceeding, 6 seconds over Anthony Kumpen. And now all of a sudden the experienced Belgian racer is going to be right there on his bumper. 2x2 starts typically coming out of a safety car period, so it may not even be by his bumper, it might be by his door, which would be a huge twist in the tail. So the race is paused momentarily. We will hopefully see Max Lanza okay after that incident, but what we have for now is a very compelling potential run to the flag here. We're now getting a replay, and oh yeah, that was every bit the incident that I thought it might be. Unfortunately, very high up Paddock Hill, that crash, and that typically means your brakes have failed or something has gone wrong. And it did look to me like he either was very optimistic about where he could brake, or potentially that the brakes weren't there for him. Nonetheless, Max Lanza will hopefully be out of the 88 car soon. The field following the safety car then. And speeds much reduced. Of course, there is the NASCAR overtime system here, where we are guaranteed, or all but guaranteed, a green flag finish, all being well. And that would add 2 laps to the end of a race distance if we need that. But hopefully this safety car doesn't take that long. We saw a replay as well of Alina Leubneger's incident at Graham Hill. I've seen a number of people do that, just get sideways into the corner and end up sliding well up the grass bank. Easily done. Alina recovered the car, and she will continue on down in P20. Meanwhile, you saw there Matthew Ellis unlapping himself. He's getting a wave around, and there's the good news. Max Lanza is out of his car. He's up, he's walking, he's talking. And he hit that wall hard. He flipped over, did a full barrel roll. That was a nasty incident, and it's just a huge relief to see that Max Lanza has gotten out of the car. Testament to the build quality of these EuroNASCAR machines. They take a pounding nicely in racing conditions. You often see the cars come home with less than their original amount of bodywork, but they also take an impact and do all they can to protect the drivers. And clearly Max Lanza, while he is no doubt shaken, will more than likely feel that one in the morning. The good news that he is up and okay. It's lap 30 of 38 here. I suspect we'll need another few laps before this safety car has any chance of being withdrawn. We'll have to see what kind of progress they're making on the recovery of Lanza's car. If we can get a look at the car, we'll see whereabouts it is and whether or not they have it attached to a tow vehicle just yet. I think the car still to the left of, or to the right of picture. Difficult to say without getting a visual quite how much longer it might be before green flag. But when we do go racing, I think we're due something of a treat here. Gianmarco Ercole has been driving away at the head of the order. He will not be at all willing to give an inch to Anthony Kumpen, but Kumpen has had to go a long time without being a full-time driver. He's back in the hot seat this year in the number 24, and it's been a long time since he stood on the top step of a podium in EuroNASCAR. He has been winning and racing in the Belcar Series, the local Belgian Endurance Championship, in a GT2 Audi. But I'm sure he would love to be on the top step at the 10th American SpeedFest. We saw the car there being craned away. I suspect if the barrier is okay, we'll be 2 or 3 laps away from a restart at this stage. We've also had confirmation that we will have a double file restart when this race resumes. So we'll be doing 2x2 rolling start, NASCAR style. And that will be a compelling situation. There is no choose cone or anything of that nature if you're more familiar with the NASCAR Cup Series. It's very much the old style 2x2. Leader gets the inside, second gets the outside, etc., etc. Question is, can Ercole hold off Kumpen? Can he hold off Giorgio Maggi? Giorgio Maggi up into 3rd place. I think he got past Sebastian Blake-Molen a good 10-15 laps into the race, and he was right there with Anthony Kumpen before the safety car was deployed. Of course, Maggi will be on the inside behind Gianmarco Ercole when we resume racing. And often being in the 2nd row and on the inside, some drivers will tell you they prefer that to being on the outside of the 1st row. So there's potential here for Giorgio Maggi to be something of a joker in the deck here. Giorgio, if he smells a win, he will no doubt grasp it with both hands. And the drivers have now had the opportunity to take a few laps around the circuit without wearing out their tyres, of course. They may have a little more Hoosier rubber underneath them than anticipated, and that could be a critical difference for the likes of Maggi, for those who want to try and attack and make up positions. Giorgio Maggi, who debuted in EuroNASCAR back in 2019. To the best of my memory, he hasn't won a EuroNASCAR Pro race. He has won races in EuroNASCAR 2. I think he's still awaiting that first win in Pro. And the safety car is in this lap. So let's see if Gianmarco Ercole can make it a clean sweep of the 10th American Speedfest within EuroNASCAR Pro. He took the win yesterday. That was his 2nd win at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit at the American Speedfest. There's something special about being on the top step here at Speedfest, in amongst the fans, in the public viewing areas. He wants to feel that rush of the top step again, but Anthony Kumpen, he hasn't had to wait 24 hours. He's had to wait a lot longer. Will the number 24 car be a challenger to Ercole? Will Giorgio Maggi be fighting for his first win? What about Sebastian Bleekemolen? What about Martin Dubek? There are so many moving parts in this battle. We've got 5 laps of racing ahead of us. They'll cross the line this time to begin lap 34, and it's back to racing for the EuroNASCAR Pro category. The NASCAR Whelen Euro Series race resumes here, and look at that, Bleekemolen immediately trying to fold Giorgio Maggi out of the equation, and he gets himself up into 3rd place. He's now side by side with Kumpen for 2nd place. Gianmarco Ercole has got a car length or so over Kumpen. That's critical. That's hugely important for him, that he's clear in the lead, undisputed in the lead coming out of Druids Bend. Everyone else getting through those corners. One driver on the grass further back. I think that may have been the 46 of Chrysonis potentially, but everybody else okay. And it will be Gianmarco Ercole that goes on to lap 35 as your race leader. Anthony Kumpen still there, but he had to focus a lot more on the very fast starting Sebastian Bleekemolen there. Bleekemolen absolutely took off at the start. He got himself ahead of Giorgio Maggi. He very nearly got himself by Anthony Kumpen too. Ercole managing, building that lead. There's no longer any thought to conserving the tyres, I don't think. From here, it's push, push and push. One driver we haven't mentioned for a while is Vittorio Girelli. That car was limping, seems to have a problem. It is still running. He was 8th place at the restart. He's now down to 11th. So Girelli in the 72 car has fallen outside of the top 10. I'm not sure what is afflicting his car, but no doubt things suboptimal for Girelli, who has fallen out of the top 10. Not the race he would have liked in the slightest. Gianmarco Ercole crosses the line to begin lap 36 of 38. We've got 3 laps to go here at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit in the EuroNASCAR Pro category. And it looks as if Ercole has done enough here to give himself an advantage. Anthony Kumpen has also got a bit of a cushion over Sebastian Bleekemolen. Behind Bleekemolen now, though, is Lucas Lasser. Lasser has gotten past Giorgio Maggi. Can Lucas Lasser get onto the podium here and continue his great run of form in this 2023 EuroNASCAR season? At the Circuit Ricardo Tormo, Lucas Lasser thought he was here for a one-off, and that's proven not to be the case. He has come out of Valencia as the championship leader. He couldn't help himself. He had to come and race again at the Brands Hatch American Speedfest. We've got more penalties. Vittorio Girelli and Thomas Tuffel both getting 5-second penalties for false starts. Both drivers are out of the top 10. That won't make too much difference to the battles we're seeing here. Martin Dubek all over the back of Giorgio Maggi. Lucas Lasser looking for any way he can to circumnavigate the 69 car of Sebastian Bleekemolen, but it's not going to be easy from here. Bleekemolen knows his way around this circuit. He knows how to drive these cars well. Of course, Lasser, one of the most experienced drivers on the grid. We don't need to doubt his abilities. He's got the red strip, of course, over his windscreen. He is our championship leader still by just 3 points coming into today's race. As it stands, Gianmarco Ercole will be our championship leader coming out of this one, unless the bonus points go to Lasser for positions gained, but I think they're going to go to Vladimiros Siortsis as it stands. But Lucas Lasser doing a great job of preserving his title hopes, coming from the fringes of the top 10 to 4th position. We're on the final lap of the race. Martin Dubek still looking for a way past Giorgio Maggi. He goes to the inside at Graham Hill Bend and gets the move done. Nicely done by Martin Dubek. He moves up to 5th place. Tobias Dauenhauer gets into 6th, but of course he's got a 5-second penalty, and he's just knocked Giorgio Maggi. They made contact, and Giorgio Maggi onto the grass and struggling. Oh, that's a huge shame for Giorgio Maggi. He's going to fall right out of the top 10 by the looks of it, but no such dramas for Gianmarco Ercole. He takes the win. It's 2 wins from 2 at American Speedfest 10 for Gianmarco Ercole. Anthony Kumpen takes 2nd place ahead of Sebastian Bleekemolen. Lucas Lasser in 4th. Martin Dubek rounding out the top 5 ahead of Fabrizio Armetta, who moves up into 6th place because of Tobias Downhauer's penalty. 7th place for Riccardo Romagnoli. Vladimiros Siortsis got himself all the way up into 8th place. There's the number 5 car through shot now. Good job from Vladimiros Siortsis. He will have the points for most positions gained there, which will be a big asset to his race. Siortsis finishing in 8th place ahead of Neo Lambert, and Tobias Downhauer, with that penalty applied, finishes 10th. Giorgio Maggi, after the collision with Tobias Downhauer on the final lap, he ended up finishing all the way down in 16th place. Well, well, well. Certainly drama on the last lap there for Giorgio Maggi, but Gianmarco Ercoli was stellar there. He did everything he needed to do, and he is our race winner in the EuroNASCAR Pro category. For the second time this weekend, he heads down the Brabham Straight one more time. He'll head towards Paddock Hill Bend, but he'll hook a left towards the podium, where thousands upon thousands of fans will be waiting for him. The rest of the pack head into the pit lane. Of course, the drivers that need to go to the podiums will run underneath the circuit through the tunnel towards the podium area. But for Jimmy Ercoli, he will drive out into the waiting fans on Colin Chapman Way with a police escort for company. And what a race for Ercoli. Could Liam Hasemans have been a challenger? Could Liam Hasemans have overtaken Ercoli? It certainly looked like the pace was there before that off at Paddock Hill Bend. But Ercoli doesn't worry about the what-ifs. He knows that he has taken every point he could from this weekend. It was a lights-to-flag win, albeit with an immense challenge there from Liam Hasemans in the first dozen laps or so. Ercoli will be heading down to the podium momentarily. I'm sure there are a lot of fans on Colin Chapman Way this weekend. He's made it to his destination, and you see there the team greeting him. Cal Racing, buoyant. And Andre Biegold telling them to tranquilo, tranquilo, please calm down, let him get out the car first. And we will see Jimmy Ercoli out of the car momentarily. Here he comes. And Cal Racing delighted to welcome their championship leader, lest we forget. He will have inherited the championship leads from Lucas Lasserre, and that will be significant for him heading into our next phase of the season. Points on the board, championship lead. He will receive the red Whelen banner for our following round of the season. I'm sure that will be an honour and a very exciting fact for him as he heads to, lest we forget, his home race, the NASCAR GP Italy at the Autodromo di Vallelunga is our next round on July the 8th and 9th. And Jimmy Ercoli will receive a hero's welcome from the Italian faithful as our championship leader. They pose for the pictures. Cal Racing absolutely delighted with their result. And Jimmy Ercoli with his third win in EuroNASCAR at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, and he is now going to speak to Andre Biegold fresh out of the car. Let's hear from our winner.
Thank you so much. Yeah. We have to wait a little. No problem, no problem. Yeah, it's the boss, I know. So, the king of Brands Hatch, the new championship leader, Gianmarco Ercoli. What a race.
So I work a lot to arrive to this. The red patch is much important for me. I'm happy for the race. It's difficult in the first part because Etzman have very good speed, but after I management my car and the setup change from yesterday and the track with the rain tonight have a big problem for me. Always understeering, but managing this, arrive to the victory lane. So I'm very happy. Thanks to the team, to my sponsor, to me.
Here's again the sticker. You have to put it on the car again. Show it to the camera as well.
Here?
Yes, perfect. The king of Brands Hatch. Back to you, Adam.
Definitely the king of Brands Hatch this weekend. 2 wins from 2 in the EuroNASCAR Pro category. And he is elated with his result there, as he should be. I think that overall it's going to be a happy podium. Anthony Kumpen did a really good job securing the 2nd place there. He didn't quite have the pace to match Ercoli, I don't think. Seb Blake-Molen, 3rd fastest in the 69 car, taking that 3rd step of the podium. He made up some good positions, but let's go back down to Cal Racing and Andre.
Thank you so much. I'm here with Luca Caniori. One topic we have to talk about, the nasty crash of Max Lanza. Is he okay?
Yes, it was a huge crash, but Max told us it's okay.
Okay, so very important information. Thank you so much.
This is the most important thing now. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, Adam.
Okay, so that's good. In the midst of those celebrations, we know that Max Lanza is okay. We, of course, saw him out of the car, but the team will have more up-to-date information than us, and that's good to know that Max is okay. He actually had to sit on the sidelines here last year as well, so he'll be disappointed with how the 2023 American Speedfest has panned out for him. However, plenty of jubilant scenes down in the podium area. 38 laps of racing. We're interrupted by that safety car, and Gianmarco Ercoli had to rebuild that lead all over again. Of course, he didn't build a 6-second lead in 5 laps, but what he did was make sure he held on to that victory. Lucas Lasser should still be right up there in the championship order as well. He and Kumpen will be very close together for 2nd in the points. After today, I think Anthony Kumpen might just about be in 2nd in the championship, but my maths is questionable. But the championship battle will still be extremely close heading into Vallelunga. That much is for sure. No one seemingly this year with such a competitive field can afford to put a foot wrong in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. So it was Gianmarco Ercoli on pole position when this race got underway. Vittorio Garelli was on his outside. Of course, Garelli starting on the front row, and he looked quick early on, as did Liam Hasemans, who was there in 3rd position right behind the 72. Hasemans would soon find himself up into 2nd place with a move on Garelli. Garelli, who would soon start falling through the order, ultimately finishing all the way down in 15th place, unfortunately. Gianmarco Ercoli was coming under immense pressure from that number 50 car. But Hasemans could not find a way by Ercoli, who was defending magnificently in the early stages of the race. But as you see there, Hasemans had some serious speed out of the corners. Matthew Ellis making a bit of an error towards Clark Curve. Got himself back underway. Tobias Downhauer making an error as well, coming through Clark Curve. Easy to drift wide there if you're not careful, as it is also at Paddock Hill Bend, and that's what cost Liam Hasemans. He went out wide. And whether the car was damaged before or after the incident, we're not sure. But what we do know is, unfortunately, he would just complete one more lap. And that lap was a return to the pit lane and the garage for the young Dutchman, who will try and regroup heading into Vallelunga. Battling further back in the pack, and a lead in Leubnegger having a bit of a moment at Graham Hill Bend. And that would be pretty immediately followed by this huge incident for Max Lanza, side on, driver side on, no less. Not pleasant to see at all. But thankfully, Lanza got himself out of the car. The impact, however, of course, necessitated a safety car. And racing resumed with a 2x2 restart. Gianmarco Ercoli was our pole sitter. Anthony Kumpen right there beside him as we resumed racing. It was just 5 laps of racing around this 1.2 mile circuit between Gianmarco Ercoli and the checkered flag. And he managed to control the restart nicely to still be in the lead and comfortably in the lead after the first few corners. It was indeed the 46 car that went out wide onto the grass at Druids. Matthew Ellis also had a mechanical failure. We did see a car stopped on the outside, on the inside of Paddock Hill Bend, and it turns out it was, unfortunately, the home driver Matthew Ellis not registering a finish after getting the wave around under safety car. On the final lap of the race, Giorgio Maggi and Tobias Downhauer came together on the Cooper Straight. Giorgio Maggi had to go rally crossing. Lucas Lasser was up there in 4th place. And on the last lap of the race for 5th position, Martin Dubeck got past Giorgio Maggi. And that then, of course, set up the side-by-side with Downhauer that went wrong. But nothing went wrong today for Gianmarco Ercoli. He is our race winner. A huge success for the number 54 driver, Jimmy Ercoli. We've already heard from him. He's happy to be our championship leader coming into his home race at Vallelunga. A circuit which is always good fun in these EuroNASCAR machines. Plenty of overtaking opportunities and action to be had there. Let's go to Andre Viegold.
Thank you so much. I'm here with the 3rd place driver, Sebastian Blekemolen. It was a crazy race, right?
Yeah, it was from the beginning, it was all action. Dubeck was behind me and he was really pushing hard. He overtook me once because I think Heesmans lost some water or whatever. And then I could overtake him back. And then after the restart, second with Maggi, it was Maggi. Yeah, that was also tricky, but I made it and finished 3rd. And my car was not fast enough, so I'm a lucky guy for the day.
What about the whole event, the American SpeedFest 10? Did you enjoy the atmosphere and all the stuff going around here at this beautiful track?
It was amazing. The track is beautiful. The crowd is beautiful. I saw some pictures from the grid walk. Amazing. I never saw so many people on the grid. It was fantastic.
All right, thank you so much, and see you next time.
For sure. Sure, I'm there. Yeah.
Back to you, Adam.
Yeah, something tells me that wasn't the last American Speedfest that we see Sebastian Blekemolen at. He loves racing here in the EuroNASCAR Pro category. Of course, serial winner across various disciplines of motorsport before coming into EuroNASCAR. The Blekemolen name is famous in Dutch motorsport, in GT racing, in motorsport in general. You see there the little Legends cars are in the midst of their race. The action continuing all day long at American Speedfest. But no one provided more action today than Siortzis, who came from 25th on the grid.
Before we start with the interview, one thing, Adam, you really timed the rain good, because it started to rain when we joined here the podium ceremony. Now to Siortzis, you started dead last and you ended up winning the junior trophy.
Wow, what a race. From 5 years old, it's my first race starting last, you know. Overtaking so many cars, it's out of my mind. I mean, I didn't expect it even. Thanks to my team that at least with the disappointment yesterday in the EuroNASCAR Pro, and by winning EuroNASCAR 2 and such a result in such a short track, overtaking every single lap, someone almost every lap, is unbelievable already.
To keep the focus by overtaking, then another caution, safety car procedure. How hard is it?
It's very hard, you know, doing such a job with the whole race and again safety car only, I don't know, 5 laps before the end, and again double file. Of course, I was starting outside, lost 1 place, overtake 2 more places until the end. What to say, I did my best. It's a short track, so we can overtake with a normal procedure, you know.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Back to you, Adam.
Siortsis then ultimately finishing 8th overall at the end of the race from 25th on the grid. He will get the points, I'm pretty sure, for most positions gained. And he will also have some track experience from today going into the EuroNASCAR 2 race, which will take place a little later on. And I get the feeling, based on the fact that Andre Viegold is reporting rain, that race might be a little more treacherous than those that have come before this weekend at the American SpeedFest. It was due to rain this afternoon. It wasn't due to stop once it started either, so we'll have to wait and see just how bad it gets. Who does the rain dance and who hopes it goes dry? We'll have to wait and see in the EuroNASCAR 2 race. But let's go to Anthony Kumpen with Andre.
We have to be quick because the podium ceremony is about to start. Amazing race for you, right?
Yeah, it was a good race. You know, I think that was the maximum I could do. Starting from P4, I stressed out my tires a bit too much yesterday because the setup was not perfectly what I wanted. But Hercules was faster today, and then you have to admit second is the best you can do. Second in the championship, second in the race. It's still a long way to go. You know, there's Oschersleben coming, where I won the World Championship 2 times, so we have my home track coming, so there's still a lot to come.
So what are you going to prevent becoming the next Frédéric Gabillon? I know you had some discussions about him being second, third time. 3 times.
I never finish second, so either I finish first or either I crash out in the last race. I will never finish second because that's not my position.
It was just a little joke about the on-track video you had with Frédéric Gabillon, so everything's fine there.
Yeah, no, but second place is for Fred, so I can win the championship and he can be second.
All right, thank you so much. Go back to Adam.
Oh, Anthony, how we've missed your interviews. Anthony Kumpen then starting to get ready for the podium, as is everybody else. We will welcome the overall podium first of all. Our podium sitters will take on some Panu bottles on behalf of the Guerin family, partner of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, of course. And we'll see Bleekemolen, Kumpen and Ercole celebrating their results in just a few minutes' time. And that will be hugely exciting stuff for Gianmarco Ercole to once again stand on the top step here at SpeedFest. There are plenty of fans circling the podium, eager to see their heroes up there on the top 3. You see there the sheer number of spectators, the sheer number of American cars as well. I love American SpeedFest. What a great event it is on the racetrack and beyond. And our podium is about to get underway. We're going to welcome Sebastian Bleekemolen onto the podium first of all. The number 69 car, the Bleekemolen team entry, driven by the eponymous Sebastian Bleekemolen, and he comes up onto the 3rd step of the podium. He's got some company there as well. Have we got fans coming onto the podium with the drivers? That's excellent, if so. Anthony Kumpen, 2nd step of the podium. And Gianmarco Ercole, well, he's unaccompanied, so I think these might be family members actually that have come up with Anthony and Sebastian. But Gianmarco Ercole stands alone on the top step, and here is his national anthem. Well, well, well. The cow racing choir putting on a performance there for us. That was fabulous. The podium ceremony then. Let's see the trophies presented to our drivers, starting with the third place trophy for Sebastian Bleekemolen. Bleekemolen will be happy with his third position, I'm sure. You heard him say there, you know what, I didn't quite have the pace in the car. They'll be working on that machine up until the second weekend of July, when we head towards the Autodromo di Vallelunga for the third destination on the EuroNASCAR calendar. Anthony Kumpen taking that second position for PK Carsport. He doesn't like P2, he said. Well, he took P2 today. He'll be looking for a couple of victories at Vallelunga if he possibly can. But Gianmarco Ercole is our winner today. Once again, a clean sweep of victory lane for Gianmarco Ercole. He comes out of this weekend our championship leader. He comes out of this weekend a title favourite, as he has been from the word go. And more importantly, Gianmarco Ercole comes out of this weekend with confidence. And that is everything sometimes in motor racing. I think last year his confidence was knocked at times. He had a few misfortunes, a few things that were his mistakes, a few things that were beyond his control. But this year it seems that things are running a lot smoother so far. And I'm sure that drink, that Panu bottle, will taste particularly smooth after a race win here at American Speedfest. So then we will now get a presentation of the Whelen windscreen banner, the red banner that denotes a championship leader. And Gianmarco Ercole is about to receive that banner as the new championship leader coming into, or coming out of this weekend. He, I believe, was out of the top 5 at the start of the weekend. He is now our championship leader. And there is the red windscreen banner. Ercole will be wearing that with pride coming into our next round of the season. Of course, that car, the number 54, Alberto Nasca, will be at the wheel of that in EuroNASCAR 2 in just a short while. And, well, Gianmarco has certainly proven that the car is a winning package this weekend. Here comes the TJ Fastest Driver Award. The king of Brands Hatch is undoubtedly Gianmarco Ercole. He receives a TJ titanium ring presented by Marco Raggi. Marco presenting that, and he will be also awarded the crown. The king of Brands Hatch is Gianmarco Ercole. The Italian invasion of a small area of West Kingsdown, Kent, has been completed by Gianmarco Ercole. He gets the titanium ring from TJ as well. And that is all of the spoils he will get. He's done quite well out of this weekend. 2 wins, championship lead, nice new red banner, nice new TJ titanium ring, and even a crown, and some trophies, and some Panu wine. Hope he brought a big suitcase, that's what I'll say. So then, next up we have the Junior Trophy presentation. Of course, Giorgio Maggi was leading Junior Trophy until the very end of the race. It was the final lap when he went off circuit. Unfortunately, he loses the win. Ulysse Delceau takes the 3rd step on the junior podium. Neo Lambert takes the 2nd step. Cheekily gets himself onto the top step for a moment there. I like it, I like it. And Vladimiros Tsiotsis will be on the top step of the podium here in the Junior Trophy. Of course, he's taken a clean sweep as well of the victories in the EuroNASCAR 2 overall order. And he'll be looking to continue that streak in just a couple of hours here at the American Speedfest. The trophy presentation ongoing then. Neo Lambert taking the 2nd place trophy and bottle. And here comes Vladimiros Tsiotsis' prize. He takes the junior trophy win. And he will continue to work on trying to get that first EuroNASCAR Pro win. He's proven that he's got the pace. And we saw him, of course, take 2 wins at Valencia and a win yesterday in EuroNASCAR 2. But you just get the feeling that Ciortis, who on one lap pace has often been the quickest driver in the paddock in qualifying across both categories, you just get the feeling that he is going to be fighting for EuroNASCAR Pro titles before too long. So then, next up, the Challenger Trophy. That will be our final podium ceremony of this particular broadcast. And I'm happy to say that our first driver up is Advait Deodar, the Indian driver who's based fairly locally here to Brands Hatch. He will be happy to get onto a podium this weekend. Riccardo Romagnoli takes the second spot, but Fabrizio Armetta will once again climb to the top step. The driver of the 55 car has looked like the quickest of the Challenger Trophy runners all weekend long, really all season long, and he once again takes the top step. He will receive a trophy and a bottle of Panu wine for his efforts. And Romagnoli taking the second place spoils. Armetta will be presented with his winner's trophy. Armetta, of course, was the Challenger Trophy winner coming into this race. That points lead will only have extended courtesy of this result going into Vallelunga, and the Italian racer will be happy to be in that position when he heads to his homeland next month. They will pose for pictures then. And that is our final podium from the EuroNASCAR Pro category. But our day's racing is anything but over. The weather overhead is looking a little bit scary if you don't like wet weather conditions as a driver. But I'm sure the EuroNASCAR 2 race here this afternoon is going to be immensely exciting in potentially very slippery conditions. That race will be coming to us in just a couple of hours' time. We will get the graphic on screen for you. If you are in if you're in the Central European Summer Time Zone, that race will be coming up in just a couple of hours' time. Hopefully we will get the graphic up before the end of the broadcast. And look at the crown. It fits perfectly on the trophy for Gianmarco Ercoli. It's almost as if it was all designed to be just like that. Perfect stuff from Gianmarco Ercoli and the Cal Racing team. Our next race, our final race of American SpeedFest, will be at 17:25 Central European Summer Time. So 4:25 here in the UK, just over an hour and 20 minutes before we return to broadcasting. But for now, from everyone here at Brands Hatch, thank you for watching. Join us again for EuroNASCAR 2 action in less than an hour and a half.